Solomon Owusu, on the mystery is Solomon Owusu, Muni Solomon Owusu, the spokesperson for Mr. Lanche Martin, the political party, a movement for change, Afra top party, no, and was I the spokesperson for Mr. Lanche Martin. What reacted to a Agyapong MPP for bro haha, like since last week, I trending. Yeah, you know, MPP for refer Agyapong to a disciplinary committee, okay? Our mama committee in 2 weeks. So monfa investigate Agyapong no monfa omo report anya de emra ni nyina so mo se Agyapong ko kanse bia omani anje ho efa Sewua hospital afari military hospital and sensem no ho no Agyapong ko kanse bi na no na Solomon Owusu kanse bebre ba ko draw my attention, okay? And they say Mr. Solomon Owusu say eye che Mensah bonsu any other MPP mpanyimfo bi empeka na Agyapong ewo MPP one person mu free MPP menti omu na ye behind those petitions na e call MPP neck for ne ho na omo so refer dia ma the disciplinary committee say omu investigate Agyapong na ye chairman Sabonsu and some other two top MPP figures omu na share chiri but already no Agyapong ni e friend Rafa Agyapong e grant interview ma I think okay FM onu so ditu dwa say Mr. Agyapong onu kra we free MPP mu dada enti it doesn't matter the outcome of the investigation na MPP for so mo ye no banom so be yina free mo so mo yina free mo ono de we free MPP mu dada we ye nsema Agyapong no anya Agyapong ankasa na kan ni nua Raf Agyapong, okay? Ni nua Raf Agyapong na nko okope MP edi wo Bantima constituency a Owusu to as I think asenso boachi on the sansem we tudwa but back to Solomon Owusu enkomo na no wodi no video no ha me be boachi so ti mo enko nsema Mr. Solomon Owusu de tudwa about how chairman Sabonsu ne other MPP for a plan say on person mu yi Agyapong every MPP party same plot and omo ye omo di here Mr. Lanche Martin dey every MPP and the same plot now no move follow there yi Agyapong so every MPP mo me enko video. After that, then the struggle began. I have helped you to clear or to minimize the influence of Mr. Lanche Martin and his people in the party. They have gotten Polafuko out, they have gotten Agyapong out. So now power struggle began. The lives of Ken and Co all started. And at that point they said, well, they will settle on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Then they realized that where it has gotten to, they still needed to clear the main man, Lanche Martin, out. So they started the frustrations, and these are matters that I'm not going to recount. How even going from, and I was part of Alan's delegation or team that visited almost the entire country. Any constituency that we visited or region, could you believe they would just go and mobilize people who are not delegates to come and meet us? Now, a constituency, a regional executive will be bold enough and tell you on your way to the region, they will tell you that, oh, my mother is sick, my father is sick, I can't attend your meeting. So we never met any of the regional executives, and we do it was part of the machination. We were told that, and Afenyo was the one that told us that he together with Kennedy were supporting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's bid. Why were they supporting Bawumia's bid? It was to get Alan off the radar. Then afterwards, in their mind, because the MPP traditionally tilt towards an account candidate. So if it was left with between he, Kennedy, Agyapong, and Mahmoud Bawumia, the party will revert back to its original status quo and settle on an account party. So that will advantage them. So they helped in this melee. And you know what happened, which necessitated the resignation of Alan from the party on the 25th of September 2023. Alan was then off. Then Kennedy took part in that elections. He placed second. He got about 39% of the votes. So in his mind, the next election, obviously, especially against the backdrop of the fact that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia performed abysmally in the 2024 election, the delegates would immediately settle on him as the next candidate. Now, what did the party do? Immediately after the 2024 elections, the Ashanti region, they set up a committee headed by Kyei Mensah, together with other functionaries that are known enemies of Kennedy Agyapong. And if you read their conclusions, you all went into an election. You lost an election. So all of you must take blame or responsibility for the loss. They singled out Kennedy Agyapong in the Ashanti region report and said that because of his utterances
the MPP lost and took away or took out Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. In fact, to the extent that the party did something, I thought something must be wrong somewhere. That Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's visit to the Mensah consistently was part of the reason why they lost. So they have set up the stage. Now, coupled with that, quickly they hurriedly went with this business of doing top-down election. Let's put up the roof before we come to the foundation. What were they trying to do? Because they have realized that if they were going to allow
the report of what you just said.
Yes, I have the report. Sure. Anything I say here, I have everything. Don't worry.
Please give it to me.
No, when I'm done, I'll give it to you. I even in the party, you don't know what is happening in the party. I can understand because you are not part of the propaganda, so I can understand the difficulty. So they quickly settled on what? Top-down approach. And the top-down approach was to make sure that, because the delegate system that they have is a cooked delegate system. It's not, I've been a constituency coordinator before, and I know what happens in the party. They go and gather people and then put them in. No proper elections. So if they were going to allow a proper election, the new delegates will not favor Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So that's completely wrong with what is there. At least he will get majority of the votes. Hence the top-down approach. Now they went into the election and Kennedy was second. However, the percentage that he got in the last election reduced. He got about 23%. Now, what they are forgetting to know is that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's votes also reduced from 62% or so to 57%. The three candidates combined, they got about 43% or so of the delegates' votes, which means Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia does not have absolute control of the party. Right from there, then they reverted back to the template of getting those that are nemesis to our fortunes out of the way. So they have been trying since then to get Kennedy out of it. So you remember, in the days leading to elections, all those that were insulting Kennedy, it was a deliberate strategy. It was deliberate. They will insult Kennedy, and the next moment they receive a hug from the flag bearer. So what were you trying to impugn? On the same platform, on the same, when they were going around during their thank you tour, when they go to the Bono region, you saw what Abranja did to Kennedy. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was on the same platform with him. He couldn't say anything. Coker now has been saying that Kennedy has been, his head has been operated, or the brain has been operated, or he is always saying with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Mensah, that Kennedy mentioned the name, that he doesn't want to see him, is the chief of staff of Bawumia's campaign. You understand? Who else did he mention the name? Amadeku. In fact, Amadeku that took Kennedy to the cleaners. If you look at the composition of their employment committee, that Kennedy is supposed to be the chair. A lady that took Kennedy to the cleaners did not respect Kennedy. Is the secretary of that committee. You get my point. What about he mentioned a couple of people's names, but I'll get them. So right there, they have decided that they will do things that will provoke Kennedy to leave the scene so that they can take over. But I don't sympathize and empathize with Kennedy one bit, because I mean, you were part of the strategy. You got Alan out, and they are using the same strategy to get you out, except to say that the reasons for which people have petitioned is not insincerity. They are not honest to themselves. The whole trouble started with what? Kennedy making a statement during his birthday when he decided to go and give some items to the police. That was the case. Yeah. I have taken my time to listen to the tape 30 times, Senna, because I really wanted to find out where the problem was. Now, the summary of what he said during that occasion, I don't think anybody worth a salt that believes in this country will have any difficulty with this statement. He said, look, you cannot just blame NDC for not fixing the Afari hospital, and that if there is any blame to share, MPP and NDC must equally share the blame. What is wrong with such a statement? To the extent that he was even went ahead and said that we were not doing politics, it's about Ghana first. As I'm sitting here, as a taxpayer, my interest is not about the political football that people play with our infrastructure. But I want to see this administration go and finish the hospital, because after all, we have invested monies into it. But the last thing that I want to hear is the likes of protocol them coming to sit here and talk about the fact that Afari has to be completed when you have had 8 years and you decided that you would not complete the project. So if people are going to talk about Afari, it must be coming from the United Party, the CPP, and all those political parties that have not had any opportunity of leading this country, and not the New Patriotic Party. That was the import of this his submission. And why would anybody have an issue with such a position? Now I realize something, that BJ Director has done something against a deal of the service and becoming a president, and that is why when anybody in the MPP takes a nationalistic position, he is seen as an enemy of the party, for which some members would call on him or call on executives to suspend or sack him. Let me read in 2008 when Alan gave a conditional resignation letter, and the response from BJ Darocha, and you would understand where the party is coming from. And I think the party decided to refrain or move away from that unserious position that was taken by BJ Darocha. Remember, before BJ Darocha died, he apologized to Alan more than 30 times. That I erred, forgive me. Because you are creating impression in the minds of the people that Alan was a problem. When as a matter of fact, he was doing what was expected of him as a well-meaning Ghanaian. This is BJ Darocha writing his view on Alan's letter. I'll read the relevant portion because you don't have enough time. The third paragraph. Thirdly, the concluding part of Mr. Alan Kyei's statement is pregnant with meaning. This is BJ Darocha. I quote it. He's quoting Alan here. We must also not lose, this is Alan speaking. We must also not lose sight of the fact that national interest is superior to the interest of any single party. In this regard, I will soon give a firm indication about the role that I expect to play on the political landscape in the country. This, I believe, will bring hope and confidence to all Ghanaians, irrespective of the political or religious affiliation or ethnic background. This is BJ Darocha putting an interpretation on this quotation. Listen to him. The clear import of the passage, this passage is that he, Alan Kyei, has in mind a national interest superior to the interest of the MPP. And based on this interpretation, BJ Darocha recommended that Alan must be sacked or removed from the MPP. So that when you take a nationalistic position, Alan, he was saying that Alan, when matters became between Ghana and the MPP, Alan will opt for the interest of Ghana. And for which reason BJ Darocha's thinking was that Alan must be removed. Is that what a nationalist do? Kennedy has taken the same route, and what are they saying? Because they are referring back to this president. Why must you take a nationalistic position against a party's position? Now, if they were sincere in their deliveries and were to go by the fact that Kennedy took a nationalistic position against the party's position, then the first person that should have been called to the disciplinary committee should have been their current flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And why do I say so? After the elections, they decided to embark on what? Thank you tour. When they got to Ashama, no, first of all, Greater Accra here, he told us that he was apologizing to everybody for the way and manner they handled the economy. Now, beyond that, he said that 3 days to election, how can you go and increase fuel? Now, when he went to the voter region, he told them that, look, National Cathedral was one of the reasons why they lost the elections. So between Kennedy and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who was bringing the name of the party into the dispute? So you are choosing and picking. Like I said, I don't sympathize with Kennedy because of his role in Alan's politics, that you must be straight. Now they claim that this instant petition. Remember, it's 10 petitions. Always it's 10. You know, they referred him to some 10 sins. Now it's 10 petitions. In this instance, they say subsequent interviews. Now, when you go and listen to the subsequent interviews, he raised damning issues against the party. That I believe that their concern as a political party must rather be as to whether or not they will take him to court. He says, as far as Kennedy is concerned, all the national, not even national, all the executives of the MPP were involved in Galamsey. That is a serious statement. Now, beyond that, he says the Agenda 111 contract, they were just selling it. But why I don't want to press it that much is because Kennedy has said that we should give him time to mention names. If you are a principled person, if you believe in the ideas of this country and you know that people have committed crime, you don't have to tell us to push you to mention names. Then you are not a good citizen. Immediately names must follow. And that's why I like people like Professor Frimpong Boateng, who chronicled all what people did, who mentioned names, mentioned the likes of Gabi Asoro, Kodo Ponguma, Totozua, Niteko, Tego, and everyone. That is a man that I would always put my head for, because you must not be afraid of human beings. And so for me, it's much ado about that. But what I would entreat all supporters of Kennedy Agyapong to know is that the United Party is available. We know that the party MPP is collapsed. You have no business being with the party. Come and join us and let's fight the National Democratic Congress and push them to do what is right, and also win election 2028 convincingly to build this country based on the great transformation plan that we have brought to the people of this country. We are only the political organization that has our plan already in place, awaiting implementation. I move on to Tokono.
You came late. I already invited Ken.
Oh
yes, I did before you.
No, you can take care. You will take the members. No problem. It's a fair deal.
You can give him care, man.
You can take care.
You can take care.
We will take the members.
Ken is coming with the members.
You take them. Ken, we have taken the base. So the base. You align quickly. Now Tokono, I've listened to my brothers. They have made the points. I will only add few things. Senda, you know, I have some Bible quotations that I don't play with, and it guides my movements wherever I find myself. If you had your Bible before you, you could read for me Proverbs 13:20, so that it guides anybody that is walking on this earth and in this world. It's very important. You see, sometimes when you have an issue, you must understand what this word stands for. Are you there with me?
Not here.
You'll be there, don't worry. so that the issue of Tokono is put in the right perspective.
Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffer harm.
Absolutely. So now when you work with the wise people in your life, you will definitely become a wise person. But they will take you through the lane of being wise. And when you walk with fools, you are likely to be harmed. This is where I will start my journey from. You know, when Tokono's issues, and remember, that was not the first time Article 146 was being used to remove anybody from office. And it's the reason why, when this whole issue started, I stood by President Mahama. People said, oh, now you are heading. No, I believe in principle. You can say all that you can say about me, no. But when someone is doing what is right, you will have my support. When Daniel Ofori petitioned the president, when Akogo Ayanga petitioned the president, when the Shining Star people petitioned, all that I did was I went to Article 146 to check whether the president would behave outside the confines of the Constitution. So I checked and realized that the moment the president received the petition, he has nothing to do than to forward it to the Council of State. Now, along that line, and that's why I made you to quote Proverbs 13:20. We had Vincent Ekwasifa, who was not part of the petition. Nobody has petitioned the president that you are Vincent Akwesifwa, you are being removed from parliament. So it means he didn't have any clue about the petition. Unprovoked, we saw him issue a writ in the court that because Madame Tokonu has not been allowed to respond to the petition, the entire process must be injuncted. And who was his lawyer? Godfrey Dami. So some of us said, but this must not be reduced into the realm of politics. The petitioners involved are not politicians. If indeed you are going to look at their background, I know Mr. Daniel Fori as a member of the NPP. So don't let us go the political angle. In any case, how did you, Vincent Akwesifwa, get to know that Madame Tokonu has received a petition and has not? There is a petition about Madame Tokonu and he has not been given a copy. It means there has been some discussions between Madame Tokonu and you, Vincent Akwesifwa. Lo and behold, the president gave Madame Tokonu 10 days instead of the 7 days to respond to the petition. When the petition was responded to, the president, all that the president did was to forward it to the Council of State. The Council of State is made up of 31 members. Is that not the case? Now, 31 members sat and 30 of them said yes, there was a question to answer. One member abstained. We did not know the member, but now they claim it's Justice Sophia Akufu. Is that not the case? Now, abstinence does not mean you do not agree. So now, if I disagree with something, I'll vote no. I will not say I'm not taking part. If you say we are voting for Senna, whether Senna is a good journalist or a bad journalist, take good, bad, or abstinence. And you take abstinence, does not mean that we say Senna is good, neither are you saying he is bad. So you abstained. But at the Council of State, Justice Sophia Akufu is in charge or was in charge of the legal, constitutional, and petition. So any petition that went to the Council of State, she was the one that they would give to, open it, discuss with the entire Council of State, and come to conclusion. We took part in this decision, and later turned around and said you were going to testify or serve as a witness for Madame Tokonu. That's fine. Based on the constitution, Madame Tokonu was suspended. It's a constitutional provision. A committee was formed. When Madame Tokonu went to the committee, she went there with her lawyers. Together, all of them submitted close to about 10,000 documents. They went through the process. She was heard to the extent that, contrary to the constitutional provision that bars people from coming out with the positions of the committee, Madame Tokonu actually held a press conference exposing whatever was happening at the committee level. I thought that was a contempt of court. So beyond that, I said I was going to even petition the Council of State for Madame Justice Sophia Akufu to be removed as a Council of State member. She granted the interview on the 2nd of September 2025. I said on the 3rd of September 2025 that I was going to petition for her to be removed. Around that same day, around that same time, that she resigned. So I got wind of it as I was not going to petition again. Beyond the Vincent Akwesifwa, we have my own brother, Bombshell, also through the citizenship, a movement or so, go to court to try and put injunction on this matter. The court sat on it and they said no. There was a case once what the committee was doing, there was nothing wrong with it. Now the Oboro herself, Tokonu, went to the Supreme Court. Have you forgotten? To stop the proceedings. And along the same time went to ECOWAS as well. The Supreme Court dismissed her case, and then the committee went on. She was found guilty of the issues raised. In fact, that they've only raised 21 issues of misbehavior and 4 issues of incompetence. How can we be in a country and the Chief Justice, someone that can call someone to be behind bars in Insawon? You are saying that her measure must be lower than those of us ordinary? No way. that don't send your husband and daughter on international travels. You do that and take per diem for them, and you come and tell me that these are no issues. Excuse my French. So she was booted out of office. I clap for the president for being bold. We need bold people in this country, and I was so happy. When she went to the ECOWAS court, I advised her, madam, at that time, in those days I was advising her, resign and negotiate. But when you are working with people who do not give good advice, Proverbs 13:20 will expose it. She said, no, she will go to ECOWAS court. I said, look, Walter Olojin, he was the Chief Justice of Nigeria. In 2019, Buhari came and sacked him. Why did he sack him? He said that indeed he failed to declare his assets. Olojin was living in Lagos. The distance between Lagos and Abuja, very close. He could have gone to the ECOWAS court, but he processed it. So you went to the ECOWAS court, and the ECOWAS court says all that happened in Ghana was within the confines of the law, and that none of your rights were trampled upon. What else can we see? And I don't know whether people have forgotten their history. The first time we applied Article 146 was under President Mohammed's regime. Remember Vivian Loretta Lamte? Yeah. And my MPP people, some of them do not have institutional memory. Who were those that petitioned for Madame Lamte to be removed? Another prayer and Nyama, Rich Nyama, were they CPP or UP members? They were MPP members, and at that time it was an NDC president that was president. And I agree at that time that yes, Madame Lamte had to be booted from office, because you cannot come and occupy Shine office and be using our money to be renting hotels about $148,000. When it happened, did the MPP not say the rule of law was working? What about Charlotte say? So one of the reasons why I was so furious with Madame Sophia Kufu was that in Charlotte case, you determined the Prime Minister. Using Article 146, you said that Charlotte had an issue to answer in terms of procurement. So established the committee. At the end of the day, she was found culpable and she was removed from office. So what makes anybody think that Madame Tokolo was bigger than the constitution of this land?
Not at all.
And when we do this, I hear example people tomorrow when you also come to power, what can you do? What can you do? If the constitution is not behind, you can't do foco. We are building a nation. I said one of the things that I accused the SY Parliament of is their inability to have impeached President Akufo-Addo. One day there should be that confidence, that boldness to impeach a certain president who is misbehaving. If the constitution did not envisage the removal of a chief justice, it would never have put it in our constitution. So I am for it. I believe that where we are as a country, we are moving on. And like I said, it was the MPP party when Bafu Boni came. In the case of Panda, as my brother alluded to, were openly praising the court and the Chief Justice for how they handled the Panda issue. So I think we are on the right path. And once we do that, anybody that misbehaves, get the person out. I'll end my submission here.